Natalie Rizzo, registered dietitian from Nutrition a la Natalie, and I have a special guest today, Ginger Hultin. Hultin. I keep messing up her last name, but it's okay. We're gonna go with it, right, Ginger? Tell everyone how to say her last name.
Ginger Hultin. Perfect.
Hultin. But that's the power of video, is these fun moments. I wanted to have her on because she just wrote a book called the Anti-Inflammatory Diet Meal Prep Cookbook.
Exactly right.
Okay, exactly right. So she's going to chat with us about inflammation. All of my followers are really into sports. They're everyday athletes, so they ask questions about inflammation all the time. And I thought it would be a good opportunity to have her on and just chat about what inflammation is and how we fight it with the diet and what her book is about. Do you want to give like a brief overview of your book?
Sure. Yeah. I just got a copy. I wanted to show you the cover.
Yes, it looks so good. It looks so yummy.
I really love the cover. I love the way that it turned out. So yeah, this was a big project of mine this year, and it's coming out August 18th, but it's on Amazon now, so it's been really fun.
That's awesome. And how many recipes are in it?
There's over 80 recipes, actually. It's a really interesting structure because there's so much information about meal prep. And so there's a lot of recipes within the 6 weeks of meal prep. And then at the end, there's a whole bunch more recipes too. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and just like some baseline sauces. It's really well-rounded, I'd say.
Nice. I'm excited to get my hands on a copy. But before then, let's chat a little bit about it. So what is inflammation? Like, why do people need to fight inflammation? I know there's different types of inflammation. Can you give us kind of a rundown of that?
Yeah, it's so relevant to your readers, actually, and your audience. So, inflammation, it gets a really bad reputation. And I think there's a lot of this verbiage about fighting it and getting rid of it. But it's important to know that it's actually a natural process. So it's part of the healing process. If you cut your hand, it's red, hot, sore, irritated, and painful. That's inflammation you can see. Like if you go on a really long run or you haven't been on one for a while, you work out really hard, you get kind of inflamed and irritated. So those are some examples of inflammation. The problematic inflammation is the kind that is long-term, that happens in your body every day and over time causes a lot of health problems. So it's like acute inflammation is natural and helpful, and long-term chronic inflammation is really the challenge and what this book is all about.
Yeah, I love that. I always tell people inflammation is actually a good thing in the short term because it's helping your body heal. But the part that you kind of want to mitigate as much as possible is that it can hurt a little, right? Like when you have inflammation in your knees after a long run, it's not exactly pleasant. So food can help with that. And that's kind of what you've used here are all foods that fight inflammation. So are there certain foods that fight inflammation? Is it all foods? Like what foods should people look for?
Yeah, so in the book, I talk a lot about the foods that you should eat. So the vast majority of the book is about adding foods in. And there's so many foods that fight inflammation because they are rich in antioxidants and different vitamins and minerals that really help the body calm down and heal that inflammation. So an example of that would be pretty much any fruit or vegetable, whole grains, beans, lentils, soy foods. I talk a lot about herbs and spices and tea. So I know that, a plant-based diet is one thing that you talk about. It's a really big theme of this book. So those kind of foods really help calm inflammation down. And in the book, we look at that big picture and just really weave those foods into every meal and snack.
Yeah, and antioxidants, I mean, that's kind of just a fancy word for a molecule that really fights inflammation, right? And fruits and vegetables are really known to have a lot of those. And I also love to throw in there that a lot of times the darker the color, the fruit or the vegetable, the more antioxidants it has, right? Is that right?
Yeah, we say eat the rainbow. So
Yeah.
all the different colors actually indicate different antioxidants. But interestingly, some white veggies have really a lot of antioxidants. So like onions and garlic, I use a lot, cauliflower. There actually are antioxidants in there, which is, I think, really interesting.
Oh, that's good. Good tip. So cauliflower, yeah, that's true. Everyone always people say like don't eat white foods, and that's totally not true at all, right? Like we have cauliflower and potatoes and all of these things that are actually good for us that are white that we should totally eat.
Yep, exactly.
I know you said you talk a lot about foods you should eat, but are there foods that you shouldn't eat or things that you recommend staying away from that can they cause inflammation, certain foods?
Yeah, there's some really interesting studies that show certain foods actually cause inflammation. So, for example, some studies are done on drinking a cola. So drinking a sugary soda, and they'll actually test increased inflammatory markers after people have a food like that. So my book, it really is very open-ended and it's flexible, but I definitely talk about some foods in research that are linked to inflammation. Alcohol's in there, and I know that's kind of ironic because my brand is Champagne Nutrition, but there's a lot of evidence that shows that alcohol, especially in excess, is inflammatory. Excess added sugar, and even eating a high-fat diet with a lot of meat. That doesn't mean you can't have any, but looking big picture, these are an example of some foods that could be problematic over time.
Yeah, totally. And that's the whole thing, right? Is moderation and over time. I think people kind of want to know, they want to quantify it, right? Like how much of this do I have to eat to curb inflammation or to cause inflammation? And there's really no answer to that, but it's just more so that if you're eating a consistently anti-inflammatory diet over a long period of time, it's probably going to be helpful, or the opposite, right?
That's so well said. What I like about this is it's actually 6 weeks of meal plans. So really how I'm looking at it is very long term. And it's not just like eat more blueberries and you won't have inflammation. It's looking at how you tackle inflammation at every meal of the day long term. So it is way more about overarching dietary patterns, and that is a lot of work. So I like how this book helps make that easier.
So yeah, that was one of the things I really liked about the book was that it was a 6-week meal plan. So is that kind of like a 6-week thing where you have to follow it from week 1 to week 6 and each week is different, or is it you can take any week and reverse them and follow that week because you really like those recipes? How does that work?
Yeah, so you can look at all the different meal plans and choose what you like the most for sure. However, I did design it to be easier in the beginning and get more complex. So for example, on the first week, I just have one breakfast, one lunch, and one dinner. So you'll eat a very similar thing throughout the week, but you shop once, prep once, make some really simple food, and then you're done. And then the next week, I weave in like 2 lunches and 2 dinners, and then it grows in complexity. So it really is perfect for people that have inflammation and don't feel well. It makes cooking easy. It's great for people that are learning to cook or have minimal skills or equipment, even for like teens, or if you're trying to get your family involved, or if you just want to eat healthier and you want to learn a new way of prepping. So there's a lot of guidance, and you can make it as simple or as complicated as you're comfortable with.
Yeah, I love that because it's almost like it's a meal prep book, but it has an added bonus of being anti-inflammatory. So if you want to meal prep, why not use these foods?
Exactly right.
So if someone finds meal prep completely overwhelming, but they really want to get started, is there something simple they can do? Small tips within the book? Maybe make one meal? What do you suggest?
Yeah, in this book, I thought that it was so important to make things simple. So I actually talk a lot about buying pre-chopped, fruits and veggies, using canned products, using frozen foods. So the first thing is make it simple and consider buying things that are already prepped a little bit for you. And secondly, you can start with, batching one breakfast for the week. And just do one meal and then work your way in. Get some storage containers and start practicing. But the really cool thing is meal prep ultimately will save you so much time. And we're talking hours and hours in your week. So if you're struggling there, I think that's a barrier. But once you overcome it, your life gets so much easier.
Yeah, I completely agree. For my readers who are athletes and are training for marathons or doing whatever, it saves them time and it helps them fuel because you have all of that prepared. So after you do a workout, you know exactly what you're going to eat. But the same thing goes for anyone who's trying to lose weight, right? Like your meals are already planned out. Or for someone who has limited time and just wants to eat healthier, like I feel like meal prep is just really good for everyone. But it is overwhelming to start. but I feel like once you do it once, you're kind of like, this is great. I have to keep on this train.
It does make life easier, but it is a change in habit. I really encourage people to plan their weeks, make a grocery list, go shopping once, and then just set a little bit of time aside. If you can carve out some time on the front end, your life gets so much easier, and it's perfect for everyday athletes. Really, it makes a lot of sense.
Awesome. Well, I feel like I learned so much about inflammation, and just tell everyone where they can get your book and when.
Yeah, so you can actually get it now, and you can order it on Amazon. The link is just, we'll put it in the notes. And just as a reminder, this is what it looks like. I'm Ginger Hultin, and yeah, I'd love if you picked up a copy, especially if you need some meal prep help, or if you need some healthy eating ideas and recipes. I think it's going to help a lot of people, and that's why I'm so excited about it.
I'm excited too. Ginger Hultin. I said it right this time, right? And what are your social media handles so people can follow you?
Yeah, so you can find it under my name, Ginger Hultin, Hultin, and also my brand name, Champagne Nutrition. And the reason I'm Champagne Nutrition is because I want to make eating more fun and inclusive, and that is what the anti-inflammatory diet's about too.
Yeah, and if you like to have a glass of wine or a glass of champagne, you should go follow Ginger because she's always posting about that stuff and telling you how you can have that in a healthy diet. And I'm also Nutritionala Nat. Hopefully you like this chat about inflammation, and if you did, just give us a thumbs up to let us know, or comment and ask us your questions about inflammation. That's everything we wanted to chat about today, so thanks for watching.